He called himself the last king of Scotland. He claimed he was chosen by God, feared by the world, and loved by his people. But in reality, Idi Amin was a military dictator, a murderer, and the self-proclaimed ruler who left a trail of blood, terror, and broken bodies across Uganda. He killed more than 300,000 people, expelled entire communities, and turned one of Africa's most promising nations into a prison of fear. Subscribe to UTAK Diaries, where we bring you the terrifying, tragic, and untold stories of the people who shaped and shattered history. Amin Dada was born in either 1923 or 1925. Even he didn't seem to know the exact year. Uganda, which was then a British colony, his early life was poor, unremarkable, and largely undocumented. He had little formal education, but what he lacked in schooling, he made up for in brute strength and charisma. In 1946, he joined the King's African Rifles, a British colonial regiment, as a cook, but quickly rose through the ranks due to his physical prowess and loyalty to his British commanders. He served in Kenya during the Momo uprising and was known for his effectiveness and cruelty in dealing with suspected rebels. His brutality impressed his colonial bosses. By the time Uganda gained independence in 1962, Amin had become one of the highest-ranking officers in the new Ugandan army, and by 1971 he made his move. While President Milton Obote was out of the country attending a summit, Idi Amin staged a military coup. There was no bloodshed that day, not yet, and many Ugandans cheered his rise, thinking he would bring stability and strength. But what followed was one of the darkest periods in African history. Once in power, Idi Amin moved fast. He declared himself President of Uganda, then Field Marshal, and later crowned himself with a string of absurd titles. His Excellency President for life, Field Marshal Al-Hagi, Dr. Idi Amin, VCDSOMC, Lord of all the beasts of the earth, and fishes of the sea, and conqueror of the British Empire, in Africa in general and Uganda in particular. No joke, he actually made people call him that, but beneath the absurdity was terror. Amin began purging the military and government. Anyone loyal to Obote, any potential rival, any person who even looked suspicious, was eliminated. Bodies began piling up in the Nile River. Military prisons filled with tortured dissidents. People disappeared overnight. Journalists, judges, ministers, students. Amin's goons, often young, poorly trained soldiers from his own tribe, ruled the streets with impunity. They abducted and killed without trial, dumped corpses in forests, and created a climate of absolute fear. He turned Uganda into a nation of silence. People whispered in their homes. Neighbors didn't trust each other. No one knew who would be next. And all the while, Amin smiled for the cameras. He danced. He boxed. He joked with foreign leaders. To the world, he played the role of the eccentric African strongman. But inside Uganda, the nightmare deepened. Idi Amin made a decision that would devastate Uganda's economy and tear families apart. He ordered the expulsion of all Asians, mostly Indians and Pakistanis, who had lived in Uganda for generations. These communities ran most of the country's businesses, industries, and trade networks. Overnight, they were told to leave, and given 90 days to do it. Why? Amin claimed they were sabotaging the economy and stealing from Africans. In reality, he wanted their wealth, their homes, and their power. More than 60,000 people were expelled. Many had to leave behind everything they owned. Their businesses were handed to Amin's loyalists, most of whom had no idea how to run them. The economy collapsed almost immediately. Factories shut down. Shops were looted. Essential goods vanished. But Idi Amin didn't care. He celebrated the expulsion as a great victory. He even praised Hitler, calling him a great leader, and said he admired how he cleaned up Europe. Yes, he actually said that Uganda became a pariah state. Foreign aid vanished. Diplomats left. But Amin didn't stop. As the years dragged on, Amin became more unstable. He believed in witchcraft and consulted traditional healers regularly. He thought he could control bullets with spells. He claimed to have dreams from God, telling him who to kill. He kept lions and crocodiles as pets. He grew increasingly paranoid. He reshuffled his cabinet constantly, replacing ministers every few months or executing them outright. He killed his own allies, including the head of the army and top police officials. He even murdered one of his wives, dismembered her body, and left it to be discovered by doctors. Amin didn't just kill people. He enjoyed it. He watched executions. He laughed at suffering. In 1976, his madness spilled onto the world stage. A hijacked Air France plane was forced to land in Entebbe, Uganda. The hijackers, pro-Palestinian militants, took hostages, and Amin welcomed them with open arms. He saw himself as a player on the global stage. But days later, Israeli commandos launched a surprise raid, Operation Entebbe, rescuing the hostages and humiliating Amin. His response? He ordered the killing of dozens of Kenyans and Ugandans suspected of helping Israel. He lashed out at the press, and his grip tightened even more. Act 5: The Fall of a Tyrant. By 1978, Uganda was in ruin. The economy was dead. The streets were filled with secret police, and the bodies kept piling up, dumped in rivers, hidden in forests, buried in mass graves. But Amin wasn't done yet. In a desperate attempt to distract from his failures, he ordered an invasion of Tanzania, claiming a border dispute. It was a fatal mistake. Tanzanian forces, backed by exiled Ugandan rebels, launched a coup. They stormed into Uganda, sweeping through Amin's collapsing army. In 1979, they reached the capital. Idi Amin fled the country. He escaped to Libya, then eventually settled in Saudi Arabia, where the royal family granted him asylum on one condition: he never speaks publicly again. And so, the butcher of Uganda, the man who ruled by fear, who danced in military uniforms dripping with fake medals, spent his final years quietly living in a villa in Jeddah. No prison, no trial, no justice. Idi Amin died in 2003, in bed, of kidney failure. Called himself the uncrowned King of Scotland. But history remembers him as something else. A butcher, a tyrant, a nightmare in military boot. Idi Amin didn't just murder a nation. He laughed while it bled. They tried to erase their names. They tried to silence their stories. But here, on Utah Diaries, we remember. Subscribe for more stories history tried to bury. Because the past, it's not dead, it's just been silenced.